So I've got memo from the city.
Yeah, basically I wanted to turn that over to the city attorney to discuss the memo that we all received in our box.
Do I have to?
Please.
Yeah. During the past few months, there's been a series of events that have been happening. They've affected the city, one of which you heard this evening. We're down 9 authorized people in the police department. I am very concerned that the emergency management functions of the city and the people in place to perform those functions with the winter storms potentially coming in view of what we had last year, we're unprepared for that. I think the council knows and is aware there's a large amount of backlog of work that needs to be done, a number of reports that have to be made, a number of positions that have to be filled, and I'm not certain our city staff can do it. And so I recommended to the council that you create a plan to disincorporate the city. It's a plan of last resort, but as we all know, the insurance policy lapses on January or at the end of December. And when it lapses, I have to advise the council members and the city employees, and especially the police department, of the potential personal liability that they face. And that rather than do it haphazard and be under a crunch, that the council undertake to determine what it is that is facing them, put a plan together for disincorporation, and then move forward. And hopefully the problems and the dysfunction that's occurring in the city and the lack of communication in the city is over with, and we can continue as a city. But I think you should have a contingency plan, and I'm very worried of emergency management. Those positions, I believe, except for the chief, are all vacant. So I felt I owed it to the council to tell them that to avoid personal liability and to minimize the risk to the city, that do this. I am concerned that the activity, I'm not certain if the mayor has undertaken any attempt to find a different insurance company or what activity is going on in that, but the mere filling of the positions will not solve the city's problems, and you need to be aware of another alternative.
So I have a couple questions. First off, can you, not just the personal liability, but on December 31st, what happens January 1st? So citizens are counting on the water to turn on and the city to function. What happens?
Well, the water will turn on and the city will function. The question is whether it has the ability to function. The question is whether or not there's going to be anybody there to do it because of the liability that they will face as not being an insured employee of the city because it does not have an insurance policy.
So where does that, so as an employee in the office, how does that affect me?
You potentially could be personally liable for any mistakes that you make in conducting city business because the person that makes the mistake is personally liable, but you're an agent of the city and the city is liable, but the city has no insurance.
And you're talking personally liable after the general fund runs out, right? Because you're not going to come after me, you're going to go after the general fund and then me.
That's correct. And unfortunately, I've been advised that there are a number of claims that are going to be filed. I previously indicated to the council that we have a claims-made insurance policy. What that means is if something happens, you file a claim, but if the insurance policy has lapsed or there is a different insurance company, the new insurance company will not cover that act because their coverage was not in effect at the time it occurred. What this means then is that there's going to be, or has been, or will be tomorrow, a series of claims made for conduct that has occurred during the coverage of our present carrier, which then will put them in position of being able to have insurance under our old policy. When the new policy comes in, if it's with a new company, since nothing happened during the time their policy was in effect, they do not need to worry because these all occurred under the coverage of the last company.
question related to that is that my understanding is once they have a certain value associated with that claim, the insurance will cover, and after that, the city's coffers will have to be.
I believe the coverage of our insurance policy is $10 million. If the total claims exceed that amount, then the city revenues or the city assets will be subject to having to pay the difference between that which the city or insurance policy limits are and what the total claims and judgments entered against it are.
The resolution of some of these claims could take a number of years, I would assume, given the time it takes for things to go through the courts if they do go to court action rather than being settled out of court. In the meantime, the coverage remains with the policy, the existing policy, because it is a claims-made policy.
That's correct.
And they continue to represent any employees who are covered under that policy, even if those employees are no longer employed by the city because the city is no longer functioning.
That's correct.
For that claim.
For that claim.
Councilman.
So I want to get back to Trent's question. Assuming, well, let's not assume, let's say if we don't have renewed insurance or new insurance come January 1, what are those preparations that you're talking about? What does that look like? I mean, certainly, I would imagine it includes a resolution from the city council to place on either the next ballot or a special ballot to put in front of the voters the question to disincorporate. But what do, Trent mentioned a couple of them, water service, sewer service, police service, park service, senior services, the court, all that kind of stuff. What does that look like? I mean, would the council order that as of January 1, those services not be provided, or advise our employees that not to provide them for risk of their own personal liability? I mean, what does that look like?
It is my belief that the city would be put in the process of having to contract out with other agencies to provide those services for its citizens, or it would have to obtain another insurance policy to provide liability coverage for the misconduct or negligence if there is any, and that the process to wind down the operation of the city would commence.
And in your memo, you mentioned bankruptcy.
Correct.
You also mentioned that if disincorporation is voted on and passed by the voters, it passes to the state. So roads, infrastructure becomes responsibility of the state?
That's correct. Or the county.
Become part of the unincorporated King County.
King County and Pierce County and the roads, I believe, go to the state.
And I did reach out to the King County Executive's Office for some guidance on this, and their first comment is that it's a very vague situation. They've never faced anything. They've been following our situation, and they've never seen anything like it that they're aware of in the history of the county, so this is all speculative advice, but we would need to find someone who's currently in the business of providing utilities. The county itself would have no interest in taking over water utility. They don't do it anywhere in the county, and taking on ours would encourage all sorts of other municipalities to try to get out from under their own utilities.
Go ahead, sorry. No.
Let the attorney be.
Basically, what's happened is that we have a number of critical positions that do not have any employees in them. Those positions carry with them duties such as emergency management. Those duties cannot be performed if we have an emergency. The other thing that's happened is that there's a lot of confusion as to the status of the city and its direction, the status of the recall, the status of a whole bunch of things. And what needs to be done is the council and the mayor need to sit down. I know we've got the suburban cities of the Association of Washington Cities coming in, but the purpose of my memo was to make the council aware that the situation is far more serious than we thought, that I believe that merely doing a Band-Aid approach to filling one position or another position will not work, and that I am not certain if we brought in all new employees to do the functions of the city, that they could manage the backlog and continue to provide the services to the citizens. If it happens that we do disincorporate, that you're going to have to contract out, as indicated, to provide certain services for utilities, possibly for police. But we do not have the insurance coverage in order to allow them to do their duty, and so it's going to have to be somebody else. The second option that I just thought of may be that we obtain new coverage, and many of these problems from a different company having occurred during the last insurance company's policy, they may be willing to insure the city for the future. But in doing so, you can reasonably expect the premiums are going to be very high.
Council has solicited indications of interest from other advanced carriers for cities, and there's only so far one that's expressed any interest, very tentative interest at that. And they, like our current carrier, would want to see a much more stable situation before they're willing to even provide a quote for the risk. But they did indicate that, yes, given the claims-made nature of the coverage, if they're convinced that the worst of the damage has been done under the old policy and they're getting a clean slate under the new policy, that they would be willing to at least consider giving us a quote.
Councilmember Steiger. Okay, another thing that I don't think we've even addressed here now is that we have grants out there, like the Valentine Avenue project, Stewart Road project. I mean, and you know, none of this is going to be done by the end of this year. I mean, Stewart and Valentine's not even going to start till next year. I mean, whatever. So, I mean, all of our projects are gone. I mean, I guess, I don't know.
Kind of along the same lines, I spoke with Walt, I can't remember his last name, but he's the insurance broker. He reached out to me a while ago and reminded me that not only, you know, the insurance is standard for the operation of the city, but there's also contracts that are tied to the insurance. So we just financed 4 police cars for 4 years. That contract is contingent of the city having insurance. So those kind of things will come due if there's no insurance. So, and he's provided me a list of coverages the city currently has, a list of all the properties that are insured, all the vehicles that are insured, that I'll forward to everyone if you want it, or I'll just give it to Ken. He also gives me a list of what the policy exactly covers and the limits. He said he was going to compile a list of the contracts that are required, but I haven't heard from him for a while, so I'll reach out to him. But I just want to make you aware that that's another concern.
If you could provide that to Council President, she's been our primary contact with the other insurance.
Yep. The other question, I guess, for Ken is, what's council's role for finding new insurance? Is it our role to direct staff to go to bid, or is it an administrative thing? I don't know where that falls in the process. Do we need to form a special committee to seek out insurance? What can we do?
The major responsibility for obtaining insurance and administration of that type of activity belongs with the mayor. The mayor should be outreaching, should be doing it, and bringing his recommendation back to the council. What can the council do? Basically, anything that the council did would have to be run through the mayor for his approval and agreement, and his participation is absolutely critically needed. And without that, we should form a committee for disincorporation, because the lack of communication is such that there are too many things that are going on. Valentine Road project is due quarterly reports, and I do not believe any have been made in this calendar year. We were blessed to find Mr. Malice went to Washington State Ratings Board and got our insurance rating back that was going to be raised because of a lack of reporting. But there are many administrative things that are the function of the mayor's office that are being are not done, and you can neglect them so far, at which point it becomes irretrievable, and you have no option but to disincorporate.
Second.
Now, speaking of the Valentine, yes, so that Sumner has got the lead there, and Ted Hill has been meeting all the requirements with all of the various agencies that are involved in the funding of that project. So that project is under control. Stewart Road is another situation where everything right now is kind of centered around what is going to happen with the agreement with Gordon. It's underfunded, and unless some agreements come there or the miracle money machine comes in town and drops off some funding, we're at a critical point on that. Our funding has not been released like Curve. We're sitting out there. We have billings that before Curve cut us off, I mean not Curve, TIB, before TIB cut us off, that did not get billed to them. So I don't know whether Betty's got that completed yet or not, but there's a considerable amount of money that need to be reimbursed to the city that cannot be reimbursed right now because of the freeze on funding. Did you ever come up with a figure there yet, Betty?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay, so we're in real bad shape on that project, horrible shape.
Anything else?
I'll say it because nobody else is. The mayor has got to sit down with a member of this council, including the council president and possibly the mayor pro tem, or somebody that he can agree to, outline these problems, come up with a solution, and work through them. Without it, you need the committee to disincorporate. You cannot do it without his cooperation and participation.
Any last
So
comments?
So I think it's probably prudent for us to put together a committee so that we've got a plan in place in case we get to that point.
Committee for disincorporation.
And we put together a committee to ask those questions and kind of have plan B.
Well, I'm available anytime somebody wants to get if these are willing to meet, you know. So, friends met and communicated with them several times. So, I mean, there's options of who we can. So, do you want to reach out to at least attempt?
I will
Make the
attempt.
attempt.
So perhaps after audience comment, we can come back for council discussion to see if we want to take any action tonight. Be my recommendation.
Any comments from the citizens? We handing the speaker microphone.
We need to try to get another mic over there.
Don Thompson, everybody knows my address, but I've heard enough. The council members have a lot at stake, so does the mayor. So do 6,000 citizens in this town. This insurance issue will affect everybody. My homeowner's insurance could go up, my car insurance could go up. There's a lot of factors. Dissolving this town will not only affect us as a whole, but will also affect every community around us. We interact more than people realize. We have to fight. So there's no fight left. We have to keep this town together. There's 100+ years of history here. We can't throw it away because of one man. We don't agree. He won't agree with us. What more can I say? Thank you.
Any other comments?
Audrey Cruikshank, 703 3rd Avenue Southeast. Earlier, Mr. Scroggins said that people are not giving the mayor enough time. You know, he's only been in here 10 months. We need to give him more time. I mean, I think maybe we've given him too much time, and in that 10 months, he's managed to just about completely eliminate this city. So maybe if we had only given him 1 or 2 months, we'd still have something that we could hang on to. So it looks to me like we're now at a point where we can't give this mayor any more time because he's already run us into the ground. And I said this before, if he ran for mayor, then he should be qualified to do the job, and he is not here. He's not conducting meetings, and he's not taking care of the business that a mayor should take care of. Thank you.
Ken Scroggins and Mrs. Cruikshank did not state what I said. I never said one damn thing about him not having time. But I am saying from day one, it's been 7-1 against the man. 7-1, guys. You haven't even tried to work with the man. I don't blame him. And as far as the city, I'd love nothing better than it to be cut off at the county line and let us go back where we were before we got elected in this thing. That's my personal opinion. However, you, the attorney, said to have a meeting with the mayor. That would probably help instead of calling him everything in the book, which has been done by everybody on the council and Mrs. Cruikshank. No, he knows what he's doing. He's an intelligent man. And if any of you folks had bothered to go back to his reunion, you would have heard things from the other soldiers that were there about this gentleman that would bring tears to your eyes. Give him a chance and he'll work with you. But you keep it up. And he quite honestly, or I quite honestly, don't give a damn about the city. If he goes away tomorrow morning, I don't care. My business still be there. I'll just be in the county. Police protection is better down there. I wanted to bring up another little problem. I got broke into.
You're gonna keep it on the point, or are you gonna come up with some addition? Keep your comments to the issue. Right now,
That's what I'm saying. Then, all I'm saying is give the man, you give the man a chance. You haven't. From day one, it's been 7-1. That don't work. It wouldn't matter what he tried to do.
I already heard it.
Frank?
I heard Mr. Luce speak about the emergency management, and I was the emergency manager. Frank Balance of Sound Inspections. Mr. Luce spoke about the emergency management. I was the emergency management director for the city of Covington, and I played a big role in the city of Puyallup in the EOC. So I'll be more than willing to help the city out in that aspect.
This is another issue, John, right now. I don't need a report.
Wayne Grotz, 122 3rd Avenue Northwest. So I completely disagree with this gentleman. I don't know where he's been, but I've been at most of these meetings for the last 9 months now, and I think you guys have done your best to try to cooperate with him. I think he came in with an agenda. I think there were statements made about you guys during the election about cleaning house, getting rid of you. And I think that you guys have done a really good job trying to work with him. If he can't follow the rules and doesn't do his job, he needs to get out. At some point, he's going to become personally responsible for this. There's people that are going to, I don't know what is involved in filing a personal suit against him, and I'm not saying I'm doing that. When people start losing value of their house, they can't flush their toilet, they can't call the police, all these different things, something's going to happen. I heard last week during the workshop, he was asking for the city to pay for his attorney fees. And I don't know, that doesn't seem to be on the agenda today, but he wants you guys to pay for the city, to pay for his attorney fees for everything that he hasn't been doing, you're trying to get him to do. It's completely ridiculous. I also heard the attorney say, and it sounds like there's gonna be a couple of more suits filed tomorrow. That's what I kind of heard. We already have a $2.2 million suit, and you're aware that other suits are gonna be filed?
Those are claims.
Or claims?
Claims.
Okay.
Yes, about 8.
8. So is the 2.2 million a suit or a claim?
It's a claim.
Okay.
You
8
have to
claims.
file a claim against the city, you have to wait, I believe, 60 days, and then you can take legal action.
I see. So all that's coming up too. I agree with what the attorney's saying about unincorporation or disincorporation.
Disenfranchised.
You know, you gotta have a plan B. You gotta have a plan B. I'm just thoroughly disgusted with this. I don't understand how anybody could take the position that you have not tried to work with this mayor. You know, he doesn't even show up. Where is he tonight? He could talk to his attorney tomorrow, earlier in the day. This meeting happens every 2 weeks. Why isn't he here? He's never here. Well, I can't even remember the last time he was here. I'm at most meetings, he doesn't seem to come to anything, other than to stomp off because he says you guys are not following the ADA requirements, when it's obvious that he's in charge and he should have been writing a letter to himself saying, I'm having hearing problems, something has to be done. He should have been fixing it himself, not asking the council. He doesn't understand what he's supposed to do and what you're supposed to do. You're doing your jobs, he's not doing anything. Seems like even the simplest thing he's not taking care of. Every time I hear something needs to be done, he won't talk to people. This whole idea of meeting with him, great. He has to show up. I have no doubt you guys will show up. He has to show up and have an open mind. I don't think he does. I cannot understand what his agenda is with this city. Okay, sorry. My time's up.
Thank you. Any other comment from the council on this issue?
I have a question. It's for the attorney, I guess. Can the council have any rebuttals to any of these comments that were just made?
I believe that would be council policy if they wish to establish it.
I think our rules of procedure say that we won't respond or rebut or argue with people who provide public testimony. I can look it up.
I believe that you're right.
If the council rule says that, until the council rules change, then you cannot respond.
I think you could probably move to suspend the rules and allow absolute mayhem if that's
That's a new issue anyway, it'd be on deaf ears.
So, unless there's any other more comment and kind of open thoughts on the issue, I'd like to make a motion, but did you have?
I did have one question for the attorney. You mentioned there is the option of simply letting the city fail and having an involuntary disincorporation put upon us by the state. Am I correct in understanding that the city has to cease functioning for 2 full years before that process could begin?
That's correct.
So from your letter, that we can either have a special election by the citizens for the vote on disenfranchise, or the council can make a motion to move that process forward.
Yes.
Or like he's suggesting, we can just leave it alone and let it rot on the vine, so to speak.
Yes.
I move that the city council create a special committee made of 3 council members to evaluate and make recommendations to the council as a whole regarding possible disincorporation, and that the 3 council members be appointed by the council president. Surprise.
Thanks.
And I think she'd be more than willing to appoint herself if she wants to participate in that.
It's been moved. It's been moved and seconded that the council appoint a committee of 3 council members headed up by the president, council president, and to work on the processes available for disenfranchised, correct? Is that close enough?
Close enough.
Wasn't this committee also supposed to make an attempt to work with the mayor also?
That's another issue.
Sure. I think I said that.
You did?
I
Sure.
heard it.
Oh, you did?
Angelica heard it, right?
I thought that was a separate issue. I think that's a separate issue.
I think the committee would reach out to the mayor, make him a part of the process.
So,
So as the maker of the motion, this is not an easy thing, I think, for any of us to acknowledge, but I think Mr. Luce is right that it's incumbent upon us as city leaders to recognize that there's a big brick wall coming, and it's only responsible of us to be prepared in case we do hit it. And so I think it's appropriate to have a committee that looks at this exclusively and puts together the draft ordinances or resolutions to put disincorporation on the ballot and answer some of those questions about what happens to water service, to police services, what happens with grants, what happens with loans, and kind of has some of that together so that if nothing else works, and that's the only option that we have available, that we know how to do it correctly.
any other comments? Councilman Putnam?
I agree that we should not be giving up on making the city work. I'm optimistic actually that we can yet make the city workable if we get hiring going on these positions. Council has approved the majority of the mayor's appointments so far this year. We've approved almost all of his outsourcing contracts. We have been able to work with him in the past. We've approved 2/3 of what he's done. So it is still possible that we can resolve these vacancies. But with that 2 years of the city languishing in failure before the state could step in, if we don't plan ahead for the possibility of disincorporation, I think we're really setting citizens up for a much worse situation than anything they've experienced so far this year. 2 years, this has been 10 months so far this year. Picture 2 full years of no city function before someone else from the outside could say, it's time to disincorporate.
There may be a way to expedite that, but I did not look into it.
I believe if I'm reading correctly, the only alternative to it would be a petition drive by the majority of city residents to start the process if the council does not. And I don't know what it would take to get a petition drive going if the city wasn't functioning, but don't expect it to be swift either.
Any more comments from the council? Any comments from the citizens? So,
Gene Fancher, 37248 55th Avenue South, West Hill. I don't have sewer. I have water from Lake Haven. Police don't come up on the hill very much because the staff is way down. So it wouldn't affect me, but it would affect the other 6,000 residents, 3,000 households, or 2,000 to 3,000 households in the city. And it just seems incomprehensible that the mayor hasn't bothered to come to the meeting and listen. Pacific has been where I've been coming to vote since I got to be able to vote. It could dissolve, it could go away, but I'm just feeling really bad right now. I can hardly imagine how you feel as elected officials to have to make a decision to disincorporate a city because one person is stubborn, and I'll say it, he's stubborn. I don't think that's a name calling, Mr. Scroggins, because one person is believing that his mandate from the voters gives him the right to fire people and not fill positions and save money when you've approved a budget of, was it over $10 million in the complete budget and $3 million plus in the general fund? So I just want to say I can't fathom how you feel, and I wish you Godspeed and well in being able to make the best decision possible for the citizens that you were elected to serve. And if the mayor would bother to look at some of the videos and listen to the citizens rather than a select few people that can be called his kitchen cabinet, maybe he would get it. I don't know. But I wish you well. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other last minute comments from the council? Hearing none, we have a motion to appoint a council member headed up by the council president to investigate disincorporation procedures and impacts and attempt to communicate with the mayor on this and other issues. Roll call the council.
Sean Walker.
Aye.
Josh Putnam.
Aye.
James McNair.
Aye.
John Jones.
Aye.
Leanne Guier.
Aye.
Gary Holsey. Clint Steiger.
All right.
Please, council, if council president asks for your assistance, everybody please be available as you can to assist in this. It's that important. All right. We spent a lot of time on that one, as important as it was. Temporary contract account clerk. Who's got that issue?
We have a memo tonight from the mayor to the council requesting that we approve hiring of an interim accounting clerk to temporarily assist in the finance department while an employee is on medical leave. This has been discussed, he says, with the union representative, and she's agreed to allow this temporary position through October 26th. It's suggested that this would be approximately $15.22 to $15.67 per hour based on the pay ranges. I would at this time move that we authorize the hiring of a temporary interim accounting clerk to assist in the finance department.
Second.
It's been moved and second that we hire a temporary accounting clerk to assist for approximately 3 weeks at the scale of 1522, 1527. Motion.
Our accounting backlog is very large. We've got the audit going on. This is not a time that we want to be short-staffed. The finance director has anything to, or interim treasurer that is, has any comment on it? No? Okay. Then I certainly would not want us to be short-staffed on accounting during the audit, during all these other things.
Did she address a couple of the issues that we talked about, you know, as far as what some of the stuff needs to be done, the assistance?
My biggest concern is the retro pay for the police officers now that the contract's been signed. It's a project that's been in the works for 3 months and it needs to be done.
That's one of the major issues.
That's the biggie.
Councilmember Walker.
How do you plan on going to fill this position? Are you going to actually post it and advertise it, or are you going to go through a temp agency?
If I have to post it and advertise it, then it's going to take 3 weeks to get it filled and it'll be too late.
That's my concern.
I plan on bringing somebody, and if I can't find somebody, if I can't find somebody by the end of the week, if it's approved, and I can't find somebody by the end of the week, I'll have a temp agency.
So
I would rather not use a temp agency because they cost more, but.
Yeah, that was going to be my point, is you're not going to get a temp agency for $15.67
No.
an hour. You're going to be paying $4.45 probably, 40. The other thing is just bringing someone in. I want to make sure that we're following our guidelines.
It needs to be somebody who has accounting experience.
Absolutely.
And knows how to work an Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah, but I want to make sure that if our code requires that we post it, that we post it, that we, you know, I know that it could take, I don't want it to take 3 weeks.
Personal
But
services.
I just want to make sure that we're following the rules. Just
Yeah.
because it's urgent doesn't mean that we need to bypass rules. We've been trying to hold rules all year long, so. I'm not saying take 3 weeks, I'm saying just make sure that the Ts are crossed and the Is are dotted. Does that make sense?
If you tell me what those Ts are and what those Is are,
I would say that's probably
Because-
outlined in the city code.
the city code says we're gonna be advertising it, and then we might as well not bother.
Councilmember Mann?
So I have a question and maybe a recommendation to get at that issue. Councilmember Putnam, you mentioned that the union has agreed to this. Do we have that in writing, or is it just somebody's word?
We have it in writing from the mayor in his memo. Haven't personally spoken to the union representative on it, but that could certainly be confirmed before, that's a quick phone call.
Yeah, so, well, I would recommend we, if this goes forward, that we,
Contingent on.
yeah, somebody verifies that firsthand.
I was in the meeting when she said that she would get it to us in writing.
Okay.
The mayor was not in the office today for me to know whether or not
Whether he got it.
he got anything, and I did not get anything. But I wouldn't do it without having it in writing.
So then, maybe my suggestion is that, is it possible, given the timelines, is it a possibility that we maybe do an interlocal agreement with another jurisdiction to have them loan us somebody, if we can find a jurisdiction willing to do that on a temporary basis? I mean, is that an option rather than hiring a temporary worker?
I could reach out for that, but that would require a contract, and a contract has to come to council. If this has to go to the next council meeting, that will be the 22nd of October, and this is only good through the 26th of October.
Well, I'm thinking though that if it's a reasonable alternative to add to your list of options, we could modify the motion tonight and grant authority to either hire a temporary person or contract with another, agency within reason to provide
Require
that
an
kind of
interlocal
service.
agreement.
Can we approve that kind of a concept by motion, or do we have to have that in front of us?
Is there a possibility we could declare this a temporary emergency in the finance department?
I don't.
There's no such thing as
temporary emergency.
There's no, for a temporary emergency.
Personal services.
We just need an expert to say it, and they would say the pay
And then
probably
they can
the expert.
extend the meeting until
If
next
it's
week.
urgent
There's no emergencies. The same thing, you're asking for declare emergency, which will be dealt with the mayor when he tried to do the same thing in declaring an emergency. There's no in ordinance or code that allows that declaration of an emergency.
Well, I don't think she's asked us to declare an emergency.
You guys
I think-
have brought that issue up.
Yeah, I think what she's asking is for authorization to hire a person. I think what we're trying to figure out is, can we give her more options so she doesn't have to take so long?
This might be an option, I don't know if it is or not, but I wonder if Evie has someone in mind. If she's the union representative for that group, does she know someone that, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to be difficult, I'm really not. I know it comes across that way. I just want to make sure we're doing things right, so.
It's been done before. It's been done in the community services when they didn't have anybody in there. People were brought in without it going to council, without it even being asked. People were brought in. But if that's not what you want, then that's not what you want, and that's fine. It's your choice. That's why it's brought to you for the decision.
Well, this has got to be done. I mean, she's got backlog, there's stuff there that we don't know, like I just brought up about the Stewart Road building and stuff. There's things that we got to know, and she cannot get it done. So it's got to get done. Now, we have to call, she finds somebody, we call a special council meeting, we approve it. I mean, whatever we have to do, which we can do, call a special council meeting and approve it, if that's the way it's gotta go. I mean, I don't know if the county got anybody they're would loan us. I mean, would the auditor maybe give us some advice of where we could get somebody? I don't know what it is, but I don't care. I'd come down here on a Sunday to approve it, to get it done. So whatever it takes.
Mr. Luce, do you have any objections to how we're looking to do this? Because if you're good with it, then I'll vote for it right now.
What are you gonna vote for?
To approve the hiring of somebody.
For the 15, 22, 27, or an interlocal agreement with additional? You know, are you just opening up the window?
Well, the original discussion was around hiring a temporary employee.
Yeah, but then it was brought up with the interlocal, so that's why I'm asking for clarity, so that we know what we're talking about.
Well, let's see what Ken has to say.
Am I correct that the advertising and posting include temporary positions as well?
I don't think we've done that in the past.
Not for temporary.
So,
It's department head.
If the ordinance requires that full-time FTEs are advertised and posted, then I think we have to. If the ordinance is absent as to a temporary position for a 3-week period of time, I would feel comfortable in the client approving, or the council approving that, if that's been the track record in the past.
well, that's what we did when we hired temporary treasurer, was brought to the council and we approved it. But, no, so I'm just trying to find, so we know exactly what we're talking about, so attendees understand what we're talking about.
It would be my recommendation to the city council, due to the circumstances existing in the treasurer's office, that this person being a temporary employee for less than 30 days, that it can authorize the hiring of that person at this meeting.
I so move.
Motion's on the floor.
Oh, is it already? Is there a motion?
Yeah,
We're
yeah,
good.
yeah.
What he said.
Come on,
You have any?
Well, I was gonna suggest, or the first question I got, Betty, is the mayor on board with what we wanna do? Have you talked with him? Is he on board?
It came from him.
Okay, he is on board. So
He
he's
is
talked
on
to you.
board.
Okay. Because he's written things before, and then when it came down, it didn't happen. So, okay, then we do this, or we reach out and whoever she finds, put them on a temporary contract, we have a special meeting, we approve that contract, they go to work. I mean,
Well, we're planning on a continuation until next Monday, so.
so whatever, I mean,
Yeah.
whatever.
So it's just an authorization now by the council for her to seek out and I'll find somebody availability, and then if need be, if we've already approved it, she can bring them in without having to come back to council.
I would even point out, our rules of procedure do give some flexibility in hiring. This is only for a 3-week position. The mayor is actually authorized already to hire somebody prior to approval in urgent situations and bring them to us for ratification after the fact. That's in our rules already. So, even if we don't approve it tonight, he could hire somebody and bring it to our next meeting, and the issue would be dead by the time we voted on it. But I would much rather approve it properly in advance.
I think it would be inappropriate to deem this an emergency as indicated in the Treasury Department. It's a misfunction due to the lack of staff. Okay? It's not an emergency as normally thought, but I believe the past practice of the city has been to employ people on short periods of time without posting and advertising, and that being the circumstances, I suggest the council could pass this.
So, if there's no more discussion, we can move forward with the motion to approve. Huh? I already asked.
Oh, there's one more question. Is this rate something that you think you can get a qualified person for?
For a 3-week period, I thought that would work.
Okay, thank you.
So any other comments from the council? So we have a motion to authorize a temporary hire of a single person for approximately 3 weeks in the scale of 1522, 1527, to provide assistance in the finance department.
1522 to 1567.
67? Sorry. Thank you. Council, roll call.
Trent Walker.
Aye.
Josh Putnam.
Aye.
James McMahon.
Aye.
John Jones.
Aye.
Leanne Guier. Aye. Gary Holsey. Clint Steiger.
All right.
Good luck. Now, maybe ordinances and resolutions.
Move to study rules to reintroduce the topic of authorizing a contract with public safety testing.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to suspend the rules to,
Reintroduce authorizing
Resolution.
a contract with public safety testing.
okay?
Resolution number to be determined, authorizing a contract with public safety testing. Whereas the city of Pacific requires testing of qualified applicants for the police department. And whereas the civil service would require weeks or months to fulfill these testing requirements. And whereas public safety testing is a qualified provider of tested police applicants. And whereas the public safety director has recommended the use of public safety testing to expedite filling of critical vacancies. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Pacific that the mayor, or in his absence, the mayor pro tem, is authorized to enter into a contract with public safety testing attached hereto as Exhibit A, passed by the City Council at its regular meeting of October 9, 2012.
Move to approve the resolution.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the resolution as read. I would suggest you add language, whereas the Civil Service Commission has approved, has voiced their approval.
All right.
Who moved?
I'll make the motion.
Any comments?
We need to fill the positions as soon as possible. And we also need to have a mechanism in place that once the hiring freeze is lifted, we can access these assets immediately.
Councilmember Walker, any other comments? Good. Any other comments from the rest of the remaining council? Any comments from the citizens that are still here?
Do it.
Hearing none, we have a resolution.
Sorry, can we hear what that Mr. Luce's suggestion?
Yes, simply adding after, whereas public safety director has recommended the use of public safety testing to expedite filling of critical vacancies, add in, and whereas the civil service secretary has endorsed the use of public safety testing to fill these vacancies.
John, that's accurate? Okay.
So, it's moved and seconded. Resolution number unidentified at this time.
12-whatever.
Move into contract with public safety.
Public safety testing.
Thank you. Roll call to council.
Ken Walker.
Aye.
Josh Putnam.
Aye.
James McMahon.
Aye.
John Jones.
Aye.
Leanne Guier.
Aye.
Gary Holsey.
Aye.
Clint Steiger.
All right. All right.
Pass that over.
Thank you very much. Resolution number 12-1198, authorizing the mayor to execute new finance software module. Who's speaking on that?
So we're probably gonna do, might as well do 9890
Yeah.
together. So we talked about this, but not Attorney General Consultant for the city. So before you is Resolution 12-1198 to authorize the mayor to approve the, which one is 1198? Building permit module.
Yeah.
So I am asking that we get approval for that from the council.
This is Springbrook software.
It is. This is Springbrook software. This is the same software vendor that you already use for all your finance modules. This is just going to incorporate the building permit, so we'll be able to access all that data in one location.
Move to approve Resolution 12-1198, authorizing the mayor to execute new financial software module.
It's been moved and seconded, resolution number 12-1198, authorizing the mayor to execute a new finance software module. Any comments from the council? Any comments from the citizens? Hearing none, roll call to council.
Ken Walker.
Aye.
Josh Putnam.
Aye.
James McMahon. John Jones.
Aye.
Leanne Guier.
Aye.
Gary Holsey.
Aye.
Clint Steiger.
All right. 12-1199.
Okay, 12-1199. Same thing, second verse. This is to Authorize the mayor to execute the documents and contracts with Springbrook Software for our business taxation module. Springbrook Software, same software we use for finance. It's going to actually tie our B&O tax into our finance module and help us to track that more accurately.
What's council's pleasure? Move to adopt the resolution authorizing the mayor to execute new finance software module. Second.
It's been moved and seconded that resolution number 12-1199 be approved. Council comments?
So I guess I have a question about this one and the one we just passed. Do we have any indication that the mayor's willing to sign these agreements?
He said yes.
Okay, good.
All right. Any other comments from the council? Any comments from the citizens? Okay, it's been moved and seconded, 12-1199 be approved. We'll call the council.
Trent Walker.
Aye.
Josh Putnam.
Aye.
James McMahon.
Aye.
John Jones.
Aye.
Leanne Guier.
Aye.
Gary Holsey.
Aye.
Clint Steiger.
Aye. Thank you.
Thanks, Doreen.
Now we have resolution number 12-1200 authorizing the mayor to enter into and sign a consultant service agreement. Can you speak to that issue?
Council President.
Before you do, can I just say thank you to Serena?
I'm hanging in there for so long.
This is an extension for the sound inspection contract. It is a 30-day contract, 30 days for each one of them, and this is for the next 30 days.
You want me to go?
I had a question.
I do too, but do you want to make a motion first?
Sure.
I make a motion to adopt the resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into and sign a consultant service agreement with Sound Inspections, LLC, for 30 days. Second.
Moved and seconded, resolution number 12-1200 authorizing the mayor to enter and sign a consultant service agreement with Sound Inspections, LLC. Be authorized for 30 days, to the end of October, right? Till the end of October, it's not 30 days.
31 in October,
But
if they'll let us.
council's comments?
So, go ahead. You were
Should have made the motion.
Yeah.
Has the union agreed to the additional 30 days?
I can tell you, I spoke to Evie personally on Friday, and she was in agreement for another 30 days.
That was a great question. Best question.
Do you have an additional comment?
No, that was my question.
I would only recommend that we change the increments to reflect the calendar days in the month of October.
This says through the end of October.
Yeah, but earlier up above it says 30-day increment. So, do we want to leave? We can leave that alone. That's just the increment status. That's a whereas. So, I think the section 1 is what's important.
Yeah, the agreement itself specifies 31 days.
Okay. So, any other comments, no comments? Any comments from the citizens? Hearing none. It's been moved to second resolution number 12-1200. Authorizing the mayor to assign the consultant service with sound inspections through the month of October 2012. Roll call the council.
Trent Walker.
Aye.
Josh Putnam.
Aye.
James McMahon.
Aye.
John Jones.
Aye.
Leanne Guier.
Aye.
Gary Holsey.
Aye.
Clint Steiger.
Thank you. So, looks like we've got ordinance 12-1833, amending Pacific Municipal Code, section 3.80.010 regarding payment of claims or obligations.
This is changing the municipal code to allow for electronic fund transfer and automated clearinghouse transactions for payments of accounts. And you talked about it at the finance committee, then it went to the workshop, and here it is before you for action.
That's council pleasure.
Move to approve ordinance 12-1833 regarding payment of claims or obligations.
Been moved and seconded. What's any discussion from the council?
it's a business necessity to be able to pay this way, some agencies won't accept payment any other way. So we better adopt our code to the modern world, even though, as we discussed in the Finance Committee, the RCW doesn't actually authorize us to authorize ACH, but all the other cities are doing it, and it's state agencies that won't accept payment any other way, so assuming they won't be willing to look the other way if we adopt their requirements.
Any other, a good defense. Everybody else is doing it. Any other comments from the council? Council member?
So I'm trying to scramble and look it up while I'm doing this, but it looks like we're creating a new section in the PMC. Is that the appropriate way, or is there, I would have assumed that we would add a subsection somewhere else.
A subsection somewhere else.
Well, there's no underlines or strikeouts, so
Yeah, no,
it appears to all be new language.
I don't believe it is.
And it says that 380.010 is amended to read as follows. I don't know what's being amended.
The amendment is adding electronic fund transfer, automated clearinghouse transactions, require an adoption of a resolution to authorize that method of payment for specific transactions for that vendor, payment of claims, that's already in there. And B is added, B is already in there.
So I guess.
So the only thing that's added is instead of it being, what it says currently is payment of claims or obligations of the city shall be by check, period. We added electronic fund transfer and automated clearinghouse and the sentence saying that those transactions have to be authorized by resolution of the council. So we can't just go out there and do that for anything, because that requires a payment that's made prior to council authorization. The whole idea of the check process is that it goes through council authorization prior to being released. In an electronic situation, it's released prior to council seeing it. You'll still get it after the fact. So that's why that's in there.
So the new language is on the first line after the word check, you're inserting everything from electronic fund transfer all the way down to the fourth line that says for that vendor.
Correct.
Actually, no, you're also adding, I mean,
I did add the fact that
it makes it really
has,
difficult to understand what it is that we're changing when we don't see what it looks like. I mean, I've got the benefit of having existing language right here, and I'm still struggling to figure out exactly what's new language.
I didn't bring the code with me. But what the original code says is that everything has to be paid by check.
Yeah, I mean, keep going. I guess it's just a complaint that we don't do this.
Any other comment from council? Any comments from the citizens? Hearing none. Do you have anything last minute?
No, go ahead.
It's been moved and seconded that ordinance number 12-1833 be amended. Municipal Code section 3.80.010 regarding the procedures of processing claims to include electronic form, short form. Roll call of council.
Ted Walker.
Aye.
Josh Putnam.
Aye.
James McNair.
Aye.
John Jones.
Aye.
Leanne Guier.
Aye.
Gary Halsey.
Aye.
Clint Steiger.
Aye.
All right. Resolution number 12-1201, adopting electronic payment policy and authorizing specific electronic payment transactions.
This is to add to the, to make everything consistent, that everything that is done other than by check is by resolution. So this is adding the Washington State Department of Licensing for payment of concealed pistol licenses and the City of Pacific employees for payment of payroll. because those were not on the list previously.
Automatic deposit.
Move to approve resolution 12-1201, resolution of the City Council of the City of Pacific accepting the electronic payment policy and authorizing specific electronic payment transactions.
Second.
It's been moved and second, resolution number 12-1201 be approved. Any comment from council, additional comments?
Because we have been, while this establishes policy to do so, we have actually been reviewing ACH payments along with all the claims vouchers for years. We just didn't actually have the underlying code authorization to actually use that form of payment. But it's not new that we'll be reviewing what we pay. We've been reviewing the ACHs along with the checks for years. It's just that Betty was more thorough than most and discovered a gap in code. So thank you.
Any comment from the citizens? Additional comment from the council? Hearing none, we, oh, did you put your, sorry, I see an arm out of the corner of my eye. Tap me, just tap me. Councilmember Guier.
Lightly?
That's all right.
I just wanted to commend the treasurer and the police department for getting together and working out the situation that we had concerning the concealed pistols licensing and getting that all worked out, and good job.
All right, it's been moved and second, resolution number 12-1201, adopting electronic payment policy and authorizing specific electronic payment transactions. Roll call of council.
Ken Walker.
Aye.
Josh Putnam.
Aye.
James McMahon.
Aye.
John Jones.
Aye.
Dan Guier.
Aye.
Gary Halsey.
Aye.
Clint Steiger.
All right.
And remaining consent agenda. This finance committee review consent agenda.
I had one modification.
Okay.
On the minutes for August 20th, it's showing that I'm absent. And I don't know exactly which days I missed, but there's a point later where I make a comment, or it shows that I made a comment, and most of it I So
I suspect that was a little bit late.
I was probably late, so just if I could not be absent that day.
See, it's how you talk.
Well, and maybe I didn't, I don't know, but this stuff looks familiar, so I'm assuming I was here.
Any other comments? Councilmember McMahon?
I have a question actually regarding this. I think it was the last consent agenda that we approved. We went through quite a rigmarole to not approve part of it, particularly to the admin leave. I don't know if that's going to be an issue again tonight, but maybe if Betty could give us an update about what happened with that. On a payment that was provided that was not subsequently approved?
It's noted that council didn't approve it. It was already released, already cashed, it was payroll.
So what about
There's
this?
nothing I can do about it.
What about this one now? Same scenario?
It's the same scenario, there's been no change. I haven't gotten any new documentation or direction. Our documentation still says that it's admin leave.
Where are you?
The auditor is here,
Beginning. What page
and
you
the
want up?
audit is going to be looking at that, I'm
Admin.
sure, because he's already told me.
Councilmember Steiger.
To speak up, he'd make us not going through a bunch of rigmarole if it's gonna happen. I am not gonna vote for the consent agenda with that check being on there at 4570, check number 4576, in the amount of $2,011.76.
Councilmember Walker.
Can I make a recommendation that Councilmember Steiger pull that individual check off and we vote separate for it, so we can approve the consent agenda?
I would be.
What was the check number again?
4576 to Robert Boyd in the amount of $2,011.76. Pull that check.
Almost at the back.
Which meeting minutes though? It's the.
It's not.
This is the minutes, that's tonight.
Oh, it's on, oh, okay, I thought it was on the minutes, sorry.
I have a question also. Krista White Swain, attorney.
The prosecutor.
Huh? Is it the prosecutor? Okay, I just want to make sure. Because I believe the discussion, it's not.
Depends on.
Okay. The question I had, reason why I asked, and I saw the attorney's references, because I thought I'd heard from last Monday that the mayor had
presented to the council about payment of his attorney fees? I just want to make sure it's not in here.
He rescinded it.
He suggested it, but didn't actually put it on the agenda and hasn't presented it to us.
Okay, but is it in here?
No.
No.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because we've seen something slide in before, so I want to make sure it's not in here. Okay, thank you. So, it's been suggested, or has it been, are we actually pulling that check?
Any member of council can request anything being pulled that require approval. So
Well, I know, I've said so. You've asked for it to be pulled, and we'll address it independently. So, minus the check identified by Councilmember Steiger, is there any other concerns or issues with the consent agenda, including the modification to minutes for the 20th? Hearing none, what's the council's pleasure?
Move to approve the consent agenda minus the one check.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And then,
So, similar to last time, I'd like to make a motion to approve, I've lost what check number was.
4576.
Check number 4576.
Second.
so your motion is to approve it? It's been moved and seconded to approve check number 4576. Comments?
Is the maker of the motion similar to my comments on my identical motion last time? I think we all have pretty good reason to be critical of this payment in light of the information that we have, but I think that it's incumbent upon us to know that there may be additional information that we don't have. We're not the appropriate authority to determine whether or not administrative leave is used correctly. I think the attorney has taken the appropriate actions to bring this to the attention of those who are in the right authority to make those determinations. And I think that it's, as a city, it's the right thing to do for us to approve payment knowing that we can go back and try to recover it. It's an odd position for me to be in because I'm usually trying to prevent us from doing stuff like this. This is one of those that I don't want us to be in the wrong by withholding money that perhaps we shouldn't be withholding.
I echo James' statements, but I want to ask the attorney for his recommendation. I think we've heard it in the past. But
My recommendation is that the administrative leave check from Mr. Boyd be paid because that's the prerogative of the mayor to do what he's done and to submit the bills as accordingly. The state auditor hopefully will be looking at it during his audit that's now ongoing.
thank you.
Councilmember Putnam?
Yeah, I'd also, while I do support approving it, I would also note that failing to approve it doesn't mean we won't be paying that employee because this has already been paid. This is a question of whether council authorizes it as a true and correct debt of the city. And in this case, I believe we really should be deferring to the mayor. It is his authority to pay employees until such time as decided otherwise.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that the check in question is the authorized approved payment. Is there any comment from the citizens? Any additional comments from the council? Hearing none, roll call of the council.
Ken Walker.
Aye.
Josh Putnam.
Aye.
James McMahon.
Aye.
John Jones.
No.
Leanne Guier.
Aye.
Gary Halsey.
No.
Lynn Steiger.
No.
All right, it's passed. Majority. Any other?
Wait, I was in the majority.
You are this time.
You wanted to spend money and
So,
disagreed with it.
any other items for the council? Hearing none? Oh, Councilman Walker?
The attorney's made comments of additional claims being filed. I wonder if there's a executive session needed.
Not this time, they've not been received.
But don't you have information about it?
Maybe I do.
He's got cigars in his pocket, no wonder he doesn't have
I do not not have sufficient information to make it worthwhile to have an executive session.
Okay. But I think it should have been brought up earlier that we were gonna have an executive session when we had a.
Well, that's not a reason to not have one. His reason
Should have.
is
Hearing no other items, adjourn.
Somebody please furnish me with a copy
I don't want.
of Mr. Luce's letter and a copy